Okay, so then you go to the University of Maryland and you get a BA in British literature. Is that right?
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
and then from there, how do you go on to get a job as a book editor at HarperCollins? How do you make that transition?
Yeah. So I, I, I discovered, I always read as a kid. And then when I got to college and took a couple of literature classes, it was the first time I'd really, really gotten excited about learning in school. Like I just was sort of a very lazy student up until then. And then I discovered something I was passionate about. And so I ended up majoring in lit, and but I didn't do any writing, and that really kind of came back to the shyness and not wanting to kind of share my work and being very private about writing, and never planned to share it publicly at all. Um, and it's kind of a key moment that happened for me was in my senior year of college. My boyfriend and I went to visit his aunt, and his aunt was an editor, and we walked into her apartment and she just had these shelves full of books, and she was such a cool person. And it just, I was like, that is what I want to be. That is what I want. She's so cool and I want to be like that. And so after I graduated college, I also really just fell in love with the idea of living in New York City. And so those things, two things came together really well, because of course, so many of the major publishing houses are in New York. And so I just started kind of casting a wide net, sending out, I tried to write a really creative cover letter for my resume that would try to be weird and strange and unique and grab people. And yeah, and then I sent out a resume to just everywhere, and eventually got like 2 interviews and just really hit it off with an editor at HarperCollins, and ended up working there. And so that's kind of how I ended up in publishing. And I ended up at first in Harper Business. We published business books and kind of autobiographies of CEOs and things like that. And eventually I just sort of tiptoed over to children's books and ended up working at an imprint called Harper Trophy as an editorial assistant there. And it was awesome.
Did you have like a clear roadmap in the back of your mind that, okay, first I do the business books, then the children's books, then I become a New York Times bestselling children's author? Or was
Yeah.
it just I like books and let's see where this goes?
Yeah, no, definitely not. Even when I was in business books, I loved the people in publishing. I loved the process of publishing. I thought it was really exciting, and just so many people in publishing are passionate about books. And so yeah, I didn't really have any sort of plan. I think the children's publishing, the children's imprint job just kind of popped up, and I thought, wow, um, that really resonates with me. And so I kind of migrated over there, which really couldn't have worked out better, because I am children's writing is just so much resonates with what my personality is like. And so kind of as I worked on children's books, it just felt like home to me. And I still really wasn't writing to share my writing at all. It's that still was kind of the farthest thing from my mind. But then I ended up sort of formed through working in that imprint. I formed a connection with some editors over at a production company called 17th Street Productions. And they kind of package ideas for books, television, movies. They have freelance writers who write for them, and also, writers who generate stories. And they kind of work with publishers hand in hand. And so I ended up kind of connecting with them and really loving what they were doing, because it was so creative. And so I sort of ended up over there. And in that capacity, the editors had to do a lot more writing, because sometimes you're kind of creating kind of ideas for book series and things like that. And so that was the first time I sort of ended up needing to share my work, and needing to share my writing. And it just helped me get comfortable with that. Not that I'm ever really comfortable with it. That's always daunting, but it helped me gain some confidence there, and just, you know, push me out of my comfort zone, basically, into kind of being more open with the things that I was drawn to and working on.
Gotcha. I love this idea that you're editing all week and then you're writing, but not for any purpose, just because you really enjoy it. It's still helping you analyze interactions, analyze the world, make sense of what's going on around you.
Yes, totally. I'd say, if anything, that's the time in my life I wrote most in my journals. And I think partly because it was just, I think your early 20s, probably for a lot of people. I don't think this is just a unique experience, but it's just huge in every way. And I think more than ever, I needed to be writing more than ever to kind of process everything that was going on.